Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I am Jerry Cooey,
I'm Deborah Nelson. Thanks for joining us.
and we are very happy to be with you. Once again, we're broadcasting from the beautiful downtown offices and the sixth floor palatial offices of Santa Rosa Week TV.
Yeah.
Don't let the shot behind us fool you, folks. You know that's where we do our recording at, but it's nice. You should
Santa Rosa Week headquarters.
You should come down and visit us. One thing, folks, and we talked about it a lot during this last year. I'll be brutally honest. Freedom of speech and the right to speak at government meetings. 2011 was a very dismal year for your right as a citizen. Now, one of the events that occurred towards the end of the year that I think has added momentum to getting the pendulum back where it needs to be was Sam Hall, the president of the Pensacola City Council, acting like an idiot jerk towards a citizen. And of course, in one of our last shows, we showed you the videotape of Father Monk, who I felt like handled himself very well.
Yeah.
Wish I'd have been there. I'd have joined in with him a little bit. But he handled himself very well. He was polite. He was professional about it. He stood his ground. He stood his ground how it needed to be stood.
It was really shocking that he was told to leave with what he was doing. He wasn't doing anything rude.
No, absolutely not. And folks, just understand your rights, your constitutional rights. I mean, look, it's easy to say, but it's a fact. They're going after every right that you have. Everything that is guaranteed you by the Constitution of the United States of America, they're going after.
The price of liberty is eternal vigilance.
That is correct. I mean, you know, they want to arrest you in your house and not tell you why. They want to question who you associate with. They want to question the mere fact. Well, why is it you want to speak at this public meeting?
Yeah.
Well, I need your name and address and telephone number before you speak at our public meeting. Well, really? Did the framers of the Constitution? I don't see that anywhere in there in the First Amendment where it says after you furnished your name, address, email address, telephone number, and whose commissioner district you're in, then you have the right to redress your grievances with your government.
Well, the reason for that is that they try to dissuade you is those public meetings, and we talked about this before, some of the only times that some of these issues get aired on the record. And the officials in charge of them are confronted with them and forced to respond to them. Right. There's a lot of these issues never get touched in the media. That's the only time they come up. Somebody brings them up at a commission meeting.
We are allowed in the America that I live in, by U.S. Constitution and by the state of Florida Constitution, the right to peaceably assemble for redress of grievances with our government. As you have heard me say before, I don't care what Judge Bell says. I don't care what the 1st DCA says. I don't care what the 5th DCA says. Irregardless of the Sunshine Law, the U.S. and the state constitution says specifically that I have the right to peaceably assemble for a redress of grievances with my government. I will define redress for the courts before they try to screw that up. In order to redress something, you're going to have a conversation. Now, I know we have a philandering former 1st DCA judge named Charles Kahn who had relations with subordinate employees that doesn't think you ought to be able to speak at a public meeting. He's wrong. A federal judge over the Maritime Park didn't want to hear from anybody.
It's none of their business.
He's wrong. The 1st DCA was wrong. The 5th DCA was wrong. Folks, this is the year, and I'm telling you, and I know we have elected officials that tune into this show. for all of you who work in Tallahassee, I'm telling you right now, I'm breaking it down for you so you can understand it. You, in the 2012 legislative session, you can protect my right to speak at public meetings in all 67 counties in the state of Florida this year, or in 2014, we are going to have a constitutional amendment, and it's going to include you. So you won't be able to go to the little bar down past the Capitol or run up to the governor's mansion and have secretive meetings on how you're going to handle the budget.
Let's clarify that. The state legislature is exempt from sunshine law.
Exactly.
Yeah, let's emphasize that.
And look, I've been asking for about 3 years now, and we the people have had enough over this issue now. You can go ahead and exempt yourself, but we need protection in the counties, folks. There's plenty of times that you make legislative laws that affect only in the counties. That's what I expect you to do. Should you choose not to do that, let me assure you, with every ounce of effort I have in the First Amendment Foundation and all the great patriots in the state of Florida, we're going to band together and we're going to get our 650 signatures, and you are going to follow the Sunshine Law.
650,000.
650,000. And you are going to quit meeting privately with the governor to determine how you're going to handle the budget. And when we come to Tallahassee to have a conversation with you, you're going to take the time to listen to us, because it's going to be required of you. Now do the right thing. I'm tired of us screwing around with this.
And they can pass a law, or they can put something on the ballot as a constitutional amendment. They can go either way,
Right.
And they can make this happen.
I want it
They
fixed.
haven't wanted to.
Dear Tallahassee, fix it this year, or we the people are coming after you. And you're not going to like it. We're not going to just work on the right of free speech at county commission meetings. It's going to include Tallahassee, Florida.
I don't think the people would object.
I don't think they will
Maybe
either.
we should bring the show to Tallahassee.
Well, I mean, can you imagine for a moment? I'm standing out in front of, any place with a clipboard.
Yeah.
And I've got a petition sheet. And I say, excuse me, Mr. and Mrs. Citizen. The legislature won't allow me to speak at a government meeting. Would you sign my petition so that we reaffirm our right to speak at a government meeting? You think anybody's going to turn me down?
No, they're not. And let's have legislative open records while we're at it.
Exactly.
I can go for that too.
Exactly. I mean, it is. Look, my hat is off to Father Nathan Monk. I appreciate he stood up for that. He has gotten wide accolades for that. He made the national news. And even though it made Pensacola, Florida look bad, it very well may be the catalyst that it takes to get Florida, which, let me say this. Florida has the best and toughest sunshine laws of all 50 states, not 52 like Barack Obama thinks that there are, of all 50 states. And we just derailed here a little bit. And I hope that this event will regalvanize the people. I have a lot of faith in folks. It has to affect their yard. Most people are trying to raise their children, pet their dog, go shopping, take care of their automobile, live their lives. But we have a government now that is interfering in every single thing, and now they don't want to hear you at a government meeting that you're paying for, that you're funding, and they don't want you to have a say in it. So hopefully this issue is at a boiling point now, and maybe we'll get heading in the right direction on this.
Yeah. Speaking of organizations whose records are inaccessible,
Gulf Power?
that is one. Yeah. We've had some discussion recently in the media about the Gulf Power rates going up. They want to jack their rates up by
Another 21%.
Well, I calculate 6%.
Well, that's not what's been reported.
They
But-
want to go from, it's 127.16 for a typical 1,000 kilowatt bill.
Mm-hmm.
This is from the PNJ. It'll go down to 125.80 because of lower fuel costs.
Right.
That's just a tiny. Remember they jacked it up 20% at
Right.
the end of 08. Now there's a
Right.
tiny bit of a decrease because of that. But they want it to go up to 133.46.
Right. And folks, look, let's back the bus up. 2009, 2010, reported on Santa Rosa Week TV and no other place. Gulf Power increased their rates by 21%. 21%, folks. Did you get a 21% raise? Did you get a 21% bonus? Did you get a 21% of anything? No, you got a 21% of a boot on your backside through 6, 7, 8, and 9.
Now they claimed that was for fuels costs,
They claimed it was for fuel,
coal and natural gas.
coal and natural gas. Now, the main facility for Gulf Power is coal powered. About 80% of their power is generated by coal. And do have a graph here for you, and I'm gonna hold it up where you can see it. You can see right here it was about $40 a ton, and there was a spike for about 6 or 8 months. And then you see where the price of coal went right back down, folks.
Actually, it was lower at the end of 2008 than it was at the beginning.
Now, I'm just saying, I understand, and I have studied the issue. I understand most power generating facilities in the United States of America, they have a capital side, what it costs to generate it, and a fuel side. It's apples to apples. Everybody does it about the same. But if you're going to use a justification of a 21% increase on people after they've lived through Ivan, Katrina, Dennis, and an economy that has tanked, and you're going to run the rates up by 21% because that single spike in coal that was very short-lived, and you not pull all of that 21% back off the table, I personally have a problem with that. That's wrong. On the 20% of their business, it's natural gas, folks. You can look it up for yourself. Natural gas has been running $2.60 to maybe a little over $3 an MCF for years. There was not a spike in natural gas prices, and but in 09, 010, 21% increase on the power side. Then they asked for
On the fuel side.
On the fuel side.
Right.
Then they asked for a 10% increase, of which 4% was granted to them towards the end of 2011, and then they got the additional 6%. You know, and now they're wanting more.
Yeah, I mean, well, they want to bring it up to 133.46 would be that's the bill for 1,000 kilowatts.
Right.
It's currently 127.16. So that's
Right.
on the ground what the change would be. And of course that's just they want to make more money.
It's just a little bit more.
I mean, that's not fuels or
I
something
mean,
like
it's
that. That's,
it's only a small donation that you're making on a daily basis. Why are you
Yeah.
upset about that?
Right.
I don't even know what we're talking about. Why are you
Right.
upset about that?
right. Well, they've made plenty of money over the. They continue to make more money each year by between 8 and 10 million.
Yeah, tell the folks where to look up their
Yeah,
SEC.
go to the Securities and Exchange Commission. It's very easy to just go into their website and go into the section where you can look up a company and look up Gulf Power, and you can get their 10K annual reports. You can get their quarterly reports. I mean, you can get everything that they.
Yeah, take a
report
look
to the
at it. But
SEC.
don't
And look at the bottom line.
yeah
look at their bottom line.
don't take our word for it. Go
Yeah.
look for yourself.
I mean, they've been doing pretty well for themselves, and that's not enough. And this is one of the most depressed areas in Florida. This is one of the poorest areas in Florida. Poverty rates up in Escambia, poverty rates up in Santa Rosa since the last census, and they're just wanting to squeeze and squeeze and squeeze.
Well,
Every last drop they can get out of us.
You know, I just can't get over the fuel, the fuel charge. You
That
know?
never went back down.
21% increase at one lick. Okay, 21%. I understand that. I get it. While coal prices spiked up, I get it. I'm understanding of that. When it goes back down to the same price it was before, why wasn't there a 21% reduction?
Yeah, that didn't.
They
happen.
continue to get the 21% increase. They're going to knock $1 and something off of your bill, which is pennies on
Peanuts,
the
yeah.
on the 21%.
Peanuts, yeah.
You know, it just continues to amaze me.
Well, and of course, let's remind everybody that they tout themselves as an investor-owned utility, and of course, you cannot actually buy common stock in Gulf Power. All of their common stock is owned by their parent company, Southern Company. So all the profits go up to Southern Company, and
Right.
then that's all. After all of the sub companies come up, then they distribute everything out to their. You can buy stock in Southern Company.
Right. Deborah shared something else with me too, and I want her to read this word for word. This came directly off the SEC report.
This is off their. This is off Southern Company's
Right.
SEC report for 2010.
I think you'll find this very telling. Go ahead.
Yeah,
Deborah.
and let's just kind of set the stage here. Of course, we hear Gulf Power talking about how green they're trying to be, and everybody's working towards alternative forms of energy and
Eco.
right. We all want a green environment. And here's what Southern Company, their parent company, has to say about the possibility of a spread of alternative forms of energy. They talk about how a key element of their business model, of Southern Company and the traditional operating companies, which is their sub-companies like Gulf Power, and Southern Power, which is another sub-company, is that generating power at a central station power plant achieves economies of scale and produces power at a competitive cost. So they generate power centrally at their subs, and then they sell it from there. It goes on to say there are distributed generation technologies that produce power, including fuel cells, microturbines, wind turbines, and solar cells. So that's out there too. Here's what they say about that. Quote, "It is possible that advances in technology will reduce the cost of alternative methods of producing power to a level that is competitive with that of most central station power electric production. If this were to happen, and if these technologies achieved economies of scale, the market share of Southern Company, the traditional operating companies like Gulf Power, and Southern Power could be eroded, and the value of their respective electric generating facilities could be reduced."
Right.
Now, if I were a stock owner in Southern Company, I would read that to say, if alternative energy passes, we're not going to be able to monopolize it. So I might start thinking about, well, maybe I better call my Congress people up and tell them,
Right.
let's stick to the dirty fuels.
Well,
because I want to make money.
It continues. The state of Florida. Now, the state of California, for example, has very strongly embraced solar power, residential solar power, and there's huge incentives and all that kind of stuff. Here we are in the Sunshine State. State of Florida doesn't want to participate in
Right.
that.
They don't want you off the grid.
They make it virtually impossible. I mean, you can pay the full bill,
$80,000 or $90,000
No, it's not that expensive.
to do the whole roof. With solar
No,
panels?
you can put a system in now, according to what your power needs are, $19,000 to maybe $26,000. You're done, and your break even or selling a little bit back. But why you want to fight this stuff? I mean, if they would keep their rates competitive
If this
with
were
other
to
people.
happen, and if these technologies achieved economies of scale, the market share of Southern Company ... could be eroded, and the value of the respective electric generating facilities could be reduced.
Yeah, well, and folks, we have a list here. This is residential bills in other areas of Florida.
This is for 1,000 kilowatt hours, and this is the most recent comparison report from the Public Service Commission. It's dated
Right.
December of 2010. This is the
Right.
most recent one they have.
I mean, we have there's one on here that's $81 versus the $136 that we're fixing to pay.
Yeah, that's really,
There's one at 92, 98, 105, 108, 19, 110. You're several counties into the state of Florida before you even get close to Gulf Power.
Well, what struck me is there's one in Jacksonville and Orlando are cheaper This
Right.
is major metropolitan areas.
Right.
Are, I would say, comfortably cheaper than Gulf Power. The bills are less than
Yeah.
Gulf Power. I mean, you know, I would assume that it's more expensive to do business in an area like Orlando than it is here. you
Well,
know. Now they did build the Glass Palace down on Bayfront Parkway. Somebody's got to pay for that.
Yeah. How much water did they have in that? On after the hurricane?
Oh,
Do you
I
know?
have no idea.
Get any water
I
in there?
wouldn't know. I wouldn't know.
Well,
Looks like an expensive facility though.
you know, and let's step off of Gulf Power. Let's talk about all of them. Franchise water companies, franchise cable companies, franchise power companies.
They're all monopolies.
They're all monopolies
Yeah.
that are all protected. The phone company. I mean, folks. I mean, think about this for a minute. Now, I'm not making an allegation, but do you find it odd that every cell phone company that you look at, if you want 2 phones and X amount of services, it's within $5 of the same price as other people?
Every company's.
I mean, is that accidental?
Every one of them's going to get at least $70 a month from you, no matter what you get.
You know, is it just a chance happening
Same with the cable.
that water rates are about the same per gallon, kind of everywhere you look? I mean, look, I don't agree. You know, there was a time that maybe granting franchises made a little bit of a sense while you're trying to develop infrastructure, but not anymore. I mean, we need to stop this foolishness. We need to encourage competition. Hey, if there's a guy out there on the back of his truck that can get cable to my house for $25 a month less than somebody else, I think you ought to be allowed to do business.
Well, you can get it for free if you have the right descrambler. But that's unfortunately illegal. No, but here's my question: is then how many sets of poles and lines do you have running down, you know, Main Street? If you've got 5 different, each have their own set of poles and
Well,
lines.
my tax dollars and my monthly payments from a franchise, this is just my 2 cents worth. I don't know if it'll stand up in court. I feel like we, the citizens, own those poles out there.
Well, I think we should own them. We
Right.
don't.
I
but
think
should.
we own a lot of the infrastructure
I think we
because
should.
we've paid for it directly.
I agree with you.
And as you well know, the phone companies were forced into. The owner of the line could charge a small fee, but everybody was
Yeah.
allowed on there.
Right.
And, you know, I just think, of course, you know, it kind of goes back to when you have an un-American like Jeff Miller who thinks bestiality and coming to your house late at night to arrest you with no cause is a good idea. It only follows that how it is now is perfect for
We're
him.
talking about the Defense Authorization Act that
Yeah.
de-illegalized certain behaviors.
Yeah, look, folks. Next time you
It
see,
didn't legalize
next
it, it
time you see
delegalized
your
it.
Congressman Jeff Miller, ask him if he really believes it's okay to have relations with animals, because he voted for it.
I'm not going to jump on what they de-illegalized it. They did not legalize it. They
Sure they did.
de-illegalized it.
They said it's okay now.
The coming to the house in the middle of the night to drag you off and throw you in a military jail is far worse
Jeff
than that.
Miller, folks. Jeff Miller said it's okay to have relations with an animal.
He didn't say it. Don't make me defend it.
That's what he said.
Don't make
By
me,
voting for that bill.
Don't make me defend
He said
it.
it's okay to have intimate relations with farm animals.
Don't make me.
Am I not correct here?
As I said last time, there was a whole section in order to let gay serve. They had to address the entire section
Right.
and de-illegalize the entire section. That was
Right.
part
Do
of the
you
section.
hear some double speak here, folks?
No, I'm just telling you what. I don't want to defend it, but I'm
let-
just telling you what they did.
Look at me, and I'll say it slow. The next time you see Jeff Miller, you ask him why he thinks it's okay to have intimate relations with farm animals.
He has never said
Because
that.
he voted for it.
He has never said that.
By his vote, he voted for it. I don't care what this Democrat to the left of me says. He voted to authorize bestiality in the U.S. military. along with some other things.
I wouldn't say that he did that. However, they did vote to reinforce.
Well, you want to read off the vote list again? Did he vote for it? Here.
That the military can come to your house and arrest you for
Here,
no reason.
I'll let
That's my concern.
I'll let you read it off
I'm
again.
really not concerned about that.
Well, it's my concern too. But it goes to the character of a person, Deborah.
Well, I understand that.
It goes to the character.
I understand, but
The
that was a whole-
gays, I you know, I can't say this enough. I will embrace the culture.
Right, I understand.
But I don't see anybody out there marching for the right to have intimate relations with farm animals.
Once again, they had to.
I don't see that.
I know that's not what it was about.
You know, we have alternate lifestyles, and I think the vast majority of Americans have accepted that, and there hasn't been. I mean, there's still some issues.
Let's be concerned with the knock in the middle of the night in the
Well, I am concerned. I am concerned about that.
Issue with that bill.
But also that knock in the middle of the night is when he's authorized somebody to sneak into the farmhouse and pull out a cow to be intimate with. All right? That's the knock that I wonder about. How does anybody of character with any ethics and any morals, how do they vote for a bill that allows the U.S. military to sneak into the farmhouse and run off with a
I don't
goat?
know.
Okay, I finally beat her down on it, folks.
You know, I have no responsibility.
Goodness gracious alive. Jeff Miller
we
voted
need to get
for
rid
that.
of the Patriot Act crap that
Yeah,
allows
I agree with you 100%.
detaining American citizens for nothing.
But again, folks, if Jeff Miller ever gets out of his house and shows his face in public, ask him why he thinks bestiality is okay. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying, Deborah. I mean,
I'm glad that's all you're saying.
well, that's all I'm saying. I mean, I can only go. Look, I go by evidence. I don't go by hearsay.
Okay.
I got a bill. I got a bill right here. I've listened to it. I've read part of it. I've listened to other. Matter of fact, Mike Bates went off on this very issue just recently.
Did he go off on the military coming to your house?
Absolutely, he sure did.
That's the really.
He sure did. He sure
as
did.
well he should have.
And
Because it's outrageous.
folks, we should be concerned about a knock in the middle of the night. But I want you, when you see Jeff Miller, when he sticks his head out, let's see, what is it? The
Groundhog Day?
The groundhog on Groundhog Day, when he finally shows his face again, you walk up to him and you ask him, and feel free to tell him Jerry Cooey wants to know.
I'm Deborah Nelson. Thanks for joining us.
I'm Jerry Cooey. Good night.